In this video, we're going to build an about page, and we're going to use FEWD Studio to do that. So continuing with the full site build, and yeah, I've been learning a lot, but we're going to take a look at how FEWD Studio has AI integration by way of the terminal. Now, you can use Claude for this, which is, obviously really good, to use that in the terminal. But a lot of you might not know that you can install Gemini and obviously make use of Gemini within your project. This was really useful for me the other day as I was sketching out an Astro project, and I was in FEWD, and I loaded up the terminal, got Gemini on the case, and I was like, I want to change the default folder directory organization, because I would like to have certain components in the module CSS. It's just the way that I'm liking to do it. I know that you can you can keep all of the CSS in the actual Astro file, and that's cool. However, I like to do it like that at this point in time anyway. So yeah, I just asked Gemini, hey, reorganize these folders in this way for me, and it was just boom, boom, boom. And that's the idea of AI, isn't it? It's to have it do the heavy lifting, to do that mundane sort of work. And the fact that you can just access it in the terminal so easily, it's pretty good. The good thing about Gemini is that obviously it's a free version, but it's in the terminal, it's free. Crack on. We're going to install that now because I've not done so on this device, and I thought that's a good reason. It's a good thing to actually video. Make sure you guys know that you can do it. Okay, cool. So here we are at the yoga website. It's not my best work, but I'm getting used to everything, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, if you open up the terminal in FEWD, which by the way, I'm just sorting out the licensing, so it looks like we're able to go live for paid release. Early bird prices, obviously early adoption prices, lock-in is available within the next couple of days, so get onto that list right now. You can play around with the free version. It's an early version that you can just test, but get on the list. It means that you can get in for that price lock-in. Okay, cool. So open up the terminal with the button up at the top there on the operations panel, and we just need to type in npm install a G for some reason, Google. I bought a Windows machine just so that I could test FEWD. I'm not a Windows user, and people have been kind on Windows to actually, let me know how it's going and things like that. But I was like, okay, I need to be testing this out properly. And so it's already messed up my, where's the at, and is it command or control, and so yeah, anyway. So at Google /Gemini -CLI, we hit on that one, and it's going to start doing this little thing. There we are. That's a good start. The operation was rejected by it is likely you do not have permissions to access this file as the current user, but I do. We need to type that in again with sudo npm install flag g, what was it? At Google Gemini CLI. No peeking. Right, okay. Now that doesn't happen on an older Mac because I did it yesterday. So npm1 doc. Right, so I think we're all good. Yes, Gemini, come here. Excellent. Yes, I'm going to trust this one. And let's open this up. So we have Gemini in FEWD. Let's get spectacular here. Okay, so yeah, I want to sign in with Google. Okay, so all I did there was it opened up the browser. I signed into Google, and we're sorted. So you successfully signed in with Google. Gemini CLI needs to be restarted. Press R to restart, and we're done. We're ready to go. Whoop. Cool we are. Right, okay, so I typed, are we ready to rock and roll? And we've got ready to rock and roll. I've indexed your yoga site project, just so you know. It was hanging for a little bit, and I was like, oh no, what's wrong? And I jumped onto Gemini in the browser and I was like, it's hanging for a bit. I've not had this. And it said, one, this is a known issue for Gemini CLI in April 2026. It's a known bug that is occurring on occasion. So don't worry about it if you're having a go at this. And two, it might actually just be indexing the files that, you know, of the folder that you're in. Yeah, it did just say that it's just indexed all of the files and everything. So, you know, that's all good news. Anyway, so, you know, we're ready to go, really. I mean, for whenever it might be helpful to use AI to do a bit of scaffold, then that's pretty cool. So, right, okay. I can't think of why I would need it though at this point, but I'm just going to minimize it. I know that Gemma's there. Right, so let's get on with a little bit of an about page. Now, you know, just for my pride, I will jump back and do something a bit more aesthetically with these. I have done so with the testimonial section, you know, just, you know, at some point I had 10 minutes and I jumped in without making a video and I was just able to be like, oh, this looks a bit better and stuff like that, okay? So, yeah, I will do that with this site because I might as well make this one that I can offer to somebody. But yes, what we need to do now is create an about page. Okay, so like step one on that. If you've not done this before, obviously in, you know, outside of WordPress, like me, you know, we've all come from the WordPress world, and you know, you go to the dashboard, you go to pages, you create a page, and then, you know, you might edit with your builder or, you know, whatever you're using. You know, obviously the process is quite similar. You know, we have to create the page and then navigate to the page and then start editing the page. Okay. So we needn't get scared about it. A lot of this you'll find is actually very, very similar. So first of all, let's create the page. Now in FEWD, we're on the about page, you know, and I clicked the wrong one. We don't want to set a project directory. We just want to go to the directory and see what's in there. Okay, so we've got fonts and images, and then we've got a FEWD Lab preview. That's just enabling this, and then we need an about. Okay, so we're going to go to Files Plus, and we're going to type about.html. Click the plus, and that's cool. All right, we've done that. Go. Next, we do actually, you know, it's a good idea for us to be able to link to it. So it's going to be up here, isn't it, on the about? Okay, and we obviously want to link about.html. Okay. So that's going to link that. Notice that this now is a link, whereas the others are not. That's already been saved, and you can actually click to it. Okay, so happy days. But we need to actually connect to the template. So pop along to the HTML, the template panel, and click open. And here we are, blank canvas. We're ready to rock and roll. We've got our global sheet. And obviously anything, you know, we're going to be using design tokens or pointing straight to the variables. And other than that, we'll be creating selectors on the style sheet. Now if we have a look at the style sheet, oh no, that's looking at the particular selector, but if we click the globe, we can see the entire style sheet. Obviously there are a few literary bits, and you know, we'll have to figure out how those things can be fixed, but yes, it's all here. You know, you may wish to componentize this a little bit. You know, so you might wish to have an about.css. That's what I would kind of do in an Astro project. I'm only just getting into Astro. I'm not saying that like I'm really experienced there, but that's what I've liked to do. But of course, then you lock down your selectors. So you know, you might not be able to just style something that you've already done before, like a card. You know, so got to kind of consider how you want to organize these things, but yeah, having a global style sheet, in this case we're on this one, that's a really good idea, unless you're taking the componentized route, which is perhaps more appropriate in Astro. Okay, anyway, so all of that being said, we can just start getting to work. Now I like to create a section and a div, and then we've got what's called I call it a sub hero. And that would have a heading in it, and quite possibly some text, but I'm not going to get fussy on all of that. So we're just going to make this an H2 heading. Okay, and about Yogaland. I've really got to change the name for that, but hey, that's fine. So just want to grab a little bit of an image really for this one. Yoga about hero. Okay, and that's cool. Let's go back to FEWD, and I'm going to chuck that in the assets. Okay, so I've obviously closed this down before now, so that's cool. Yoga about hero. I just remembered that I had loads of images that I could have used there, to be honest. So, okay, don't worry, live and learn. Right, okay, the other thing we're going to want to have is a background image, place that directly in the section. Now, this may or may not work simply because I've been playing around with a few bits in FEWD, and I'm on the latest version, which has a development to Gen CSS. So, funnily enough, Gen CSS was the original thing that I wanted to develop, and it came about because a while back now, I made a video about breakdance and how I was trying my best to style on selectors in breakdance. But the one thing that was a real problem, excuse me, was that you needed to have like a whole CSS sheet full of your variables and your design tokens, and then put that into breakdance, which is not a problem. You can paste it into breakdance, although it does have an issue with picking it up sometimes. But in order to solve the actual production of the style sheet of the global CSS, I created one, and you could call it a very a mini CSS framework, because it had all of the primitive variables and then design token layer which would point to those. And that's a free download that I made available for anyone else that wants to paste that into breakdance and then alter it. But at the same time, I looked around on browser, I did a web search and is there a way to just sort of produce this? And there wasn't. And the thing that I first started thinking, I wonder if I can make that with AI, was a global CSS production sheet from that you would input everything from your brand and it would create all of those different things. Now, that is what I did incorporate into FEWD Studio. Funnily enough, again, though, it was the original thing that I thought of making. But this was opening up in just a little modal, and then you'll be able to, and it was working, and it would produce your whole global sheet, and that was working really, really well. But as I was wanting to develop it, and as I was wanting to avoid making FEWD Studio too heavy with something that not everyone would want, it's an editor first and foremost, I decided that Gen CSS should be a separate product. It should be a separate piece of software that does the same job, but you can link up. And also, you can use it with VS Code or any other editor that you're using to produce that global style sheet from your brand documents. So, what I've been working on in the last sort of week and a half is a separate Gen CSS, which is an app of its own. And this basically takes, at this point, it's what I'd already created in Gen CSS, but it's of an app it's in an app of its own. So you can have this on your desktop, and you could be working in VS Code, and you might want to rock up an entire brand document, or you've got a brand document from your designer or whoever, and you've got your primary colors and everything, and you just want to make that global style sheet. Well, let's just connect to the yoga one that we've got currently, because that's the thing with these apps, they're all connecting to the code files you've got existing on your site already. That's been the idea of this. It's just linking to your project files. And so here we have the yoga brand document. Essentially, this will have an export so that you can actually design this and send it to your, client and be like, you're happy with all of this. We've got the buttons looking like that. This is what the headings look like. We've got spacing designed here. So this is kind of the spacing that we'll have, because clients do care about that. And then we've got the particular sort of buttons. This is what your buttons will look like. This is what cards will look like. And the good thing is that you can, obviously you change all of this as you're going. So let's change BG gray. We've established already our color palette. All right. So we've got our color palette, and then we have the color assignments, and we can start saying, no, the BG gray, which that is a variable that shouldn't be there. It's a token, sorry, that shouldn't be there. That's going to link to secondary light 1, and we see that that changes. Okay, so yeah, well, we end up not only with being able to take care of all of our our branding, and that converts to the hard code of variables and tokens, but also we have the output of the global CSS file for use in our coding project, and we also have this, which will export as a PDF, and you can show your client that. So yeah, we've got the full color palette, we've got color assignments, and then we've got things like the headings and what it would look like. So yeah, we can change the typography and all of the tokens, well, variables and tokens related to that. The spacing, padding, all of these will be separated out and demonstrated on this demo sheet. And then we've got things like the base layouts and resetting all of that. So, our website size, for example, so 1366 is quite a common, and yeah, obviously you'll be able to preview that and everything. Okay, so that's just a quick look into how that's changed a little bit. But yeah, essentially you'll be able to edit all of this, preview all of this, print it out for your clients, and then it outputs that actual global CSS file for you. And there will be some additions onto this where it will help you do stuff like create gradients and stuff like that, which you'll be able to use. So anyway, that's just an app that works alongside FEWD Studio, or you can create your own. Obviously I'm making use of it. Okay, cool. So what I was actually going to say there was I've been messing around with some of the variables and the utilities and everything in there, so I'm not sure that my classes will work for the background image. So let's see, shall we? Right, okay, sorry. Back after a puppy drama, so I had to go and make sure the puppy was okay. Yeah, I just need to get my bearings again. Okay, so yeah, HTML, CSS, the globals, we don't need that open. Right, let's actually just get cracking on all of this. So I have an image, and actually I would like a figure around that, and something I do need to add is like the ability to be able to wrap an element in a div or something. So yeah, anyway, so div and div2, that's great. Okay, cool. Right, so let's get these classed up. Now I like to use it's just something that I often do. I use subhero, and then we've got subhero inner and subhero heading is fine. This will be a figure, and I perhaps should have changed that before. So a figure. Now I've been reading up on that, the figure thing. The figure shouldn't really be necessary around an image that's just something like a background image. This is in the HTML docs, and yeah, I just find it interesting that it's meant to be more if you are if it's something that, say, like an article is referring to, then you have the figure and the image, and it defines all of that, and you have the fig caption. It does say that in the HTML documentation, that's when you have it correctly. So yeah, I don't know where I stand on that, but it's kind of a split thing in web development. You would have a figure. I'm going to do it just because, I don't know, you'd have a fig caption, I suppose, but then an image has an image alt. Let's have a look at it. Correct HTML semantics. Should you have a figure around an image, even if for background? I'm sure I read in the docs, no comma, that it's only necessary if the text refers to it and not for decorative images. Okay, I mean, I'd value opinions on this. You are absolutely right. Your intuition aligns perfectly with standard accessibility and semantic practices. The short answer is no, you should not use figure for decorative or background images. Here is a breakdown of why that is and how you should handle different types of images. When to use figure. The figure element is intended for annotated content. Yeah, that's what I thought. According to the HTML5 specification, you should only use it if the content is self-contained and referenced from the main text. I mean, and referenced. That's interesting. The referential rule, if you could move the image to an appendix or another page without losing the meaning of the document, it's a good candidate for a figure. What? If you could move the image to an appendix or another page without losing the meaning of the document, it is almost always paired with a fig caption. Yeah, that's not often the case. If the image doesn't need a visible label or explanation, it probably doesn't need to be a figure. When not to use a figure. If an image is purely decorative, using a figure creates semantic noise. That's interesting. Screen readers. Wrapping a decorative image in a figure can cause assistive technology to announce a figure group. Of course it would. Background images. These should ideally be handled via CSS. So background image. Whoa. That is not what I learned in Etchcamp. If they must be in the HTML... Wow. Oh, okay. So if it's a background image, it really should be... Wow, okay. Ouch. Didn't know that. I'm not actually so familiar with it. I assume I can do all the same things. Background image. Let's try it without. Let's try it without then. Okay, cool. So I'm removing that. God, who knew? So let's sort this out. First thing I want to do is background image. God, shit. Now this is where I'm like, I'm a twat. Yoga about hero. Okay. Coolio. Center, cover, yeah, no repeat. That's exactly what I'd like. Okay, let's sort out some height here. Height, God, what do we want? This is going to be site-wide as a, no. 30 rem is kind of nice. People like it. Cool. And then use an insert. We're going to make a flex C. Cool. I mean, that's fine. Right, this, what I would like to do with this, I just put out a video on pseudo elements in CSS. I suggest you have a peek. It's pretty cool. Subhero inner. Right, width 100%. Let's get that going, and height 20 rem. And I don't think I'm ever going to remember if it's align items or content. I genuinely, I've worked on this so much and it just never sticks in my head. Anyway, cool. Right, I'm liking that. Now, obviously don't want it to be blue, but what I want to do is a before and content. Oh, I need that to be, yeah, I did a video recently on pseudo elements because I was using some in a breakdance project just to get around some limitations, and I thought, oh, you know, I'll chuck some in a video. They're so useful. They're really, really useful. Width 100%, height 100%. And then inset, I never knew this until the other day. That takes care of the, so you don't have to do top and left. Position absolute. And then, I think that's right. And now we need to actually get the, now I've just remembered that I could use a transparent color that I have. I could use neutral trans 10. Actually, yeah, look at that. I mean, that should work, shouldn't it? Get rid of the blue. Oh God, shocking. Right, so we could, I really need to sort that out so that it's not obscuring. That looks nice. That looks better. Alright, I'm going for the 40. Yeah, alright, I like that. Okay, what we're also going to do, this is something that I really do like to do, and I think, yeah, we'll have to bung it on here, is outline and then var neutral. Yeah, I have to fix that. Neutral trans, I think we're on 40. 2 pixels solid. Just so that we're seeing it. 12. Why are we not seeing it? Okay. The other day this fixed it, and it would show on the, yeah, but okay. I genuinely, I don't know why that fixes it. I just know that the other day it did, and yeah, that is something that I need to put on my learning list. Cool. Now it's stepping away from the vibe and the brand from the homepage, but you know, I kind of like think, ooh. So yeah. Anyway, just 4 pixels, and I'm pretty sure that I made a kind of a border variable. So let's have a look. I must have done that in the utilities. Button border, or was it? No, okay. See, I'll get to the radius corners. That one. Radius corners. Thank you, Jen CSS. Border radius. Actually, quite like that. Okay, cool. That's staying. Yeah. I'm going to leave that like that as well. Cool. Okay. Right, I'm quite happy with that. Now, I've got someone coming home soon, so I've got to dart off and be gone for a bit. But this video has gone on a little bit longer than I intended. Do you know what? I think as far as videos go, there was enough in here to actually be a little bit of a learning journey. So yeah, I'll finish this page off another time. This is just another step in the build, and yeah, it's been fun for me and enlightening. The image background thing, that's that rocks what I thought I had actually properly learned recently. So yeah, I don't know where I stand with that. Got to figure it. Anyway, cool. So that's the hero section done. Just to have a quick look at it, why don't we change the template so that it's actually showing the full thing, because I haven't copied the hero over the header yet. But yes, okay, cool. So now let's take that to the browser just to see that obviously we've got a nice little site, and that actually matches the thing on the about page in the sub hero, and now we can click through and we have that rocking on up. So obviously a thinner image in terms of the load time there would have assisted, but yeah, happy with that. Okay, cool. Let's move on down the page in the next video.